The camera focuses on a crowded audition hall. Two Filipino boys, wearing simple t-shirts and worn-out sneakers, sit nervously in the back. Their hands tremble, eyes downcast, as people around them whisper and laugh. No one expects much, but deep down, they carry a dream bigger than the room itself. And when the music starts, everything changes. The sun rises over a small, bustling Filipino village, casting a warm, golden glow over narrow streets and simple homes. Two boys, about 16 years old, walk side by side along the uneven cobblestones. One carries a worn school bag slung over his shoulder. The other clutches a small bundle of tools, reminders of their chores before school. Their clothes are modest, faded t-shirts, patched jeans, and well-worn sneakers that have seen years of running through the village lanes. On the surface, they appear ordinary just to boys living their daily lives. But every small step they take carries a quiet dignity as they pass a small sari-sari store. The boys greet the shopkeeper with warm smiles. He hands them a small snack, refusing payment, and they thank him humbly before continuing on their way. Around them, life in the village hums in simple rhythms. Women hanging laundry, children chasing chickens, and elderly neighbors sitting on wooden benches sharing stories of the past. The boys are part of this tapestry, familiar threads in a pattern of community and care. The first boy notices an elderly woman, struggling with a heavy basket of groceries. Without hesitation, he steps forward and lifts the basket, careful not to strain her fragile arms. "Thank you, Anok," she says softly, pressing a wrinkled hand to his cheek. The boy smiles, brushing off her gratitude, as if helping was the most natural thing in the world. Meanwhile, the second boy sees a small child crying beside a broken bicycle. He kneels, gently wiping the tears from the child's face, and guides him to the shade, showing patience and kindness beyond his years. As they continue their walk, the boys hum quietly in harmony, a soft, melodious tune that seems to blend with the chirping of birds and the rustling of palm leaves. Their voices rise and fall together effortlessly, a secret soundtrack of their lives. They laugh softly at a shared joke, and in that moment, the camera catches something profound. Though they may look like any ordinary boys, their hearts carry an unusual depth of empathy, love, and hope passing through the village square. They pause to watch a small group of children performing an impromptu dance. The boys cheer them on, clapping and encouraging the little performers. One boy whispers to the other, "One day, maybe we can make people feel like this with our singing." The words are soft, almost lost in the bustle, but they carry a quiet determination. It is a simple dream, but one rooted in joy, community, and the desire to lift others' hearts. As the scene closes, the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the dusty streets. The boys walk toward home, their laughter echoing through the village. The ordinary rhythm of their lives hides an extraordinary gift, voices and hearts, ready to touch the world in ways that no one could yet imagine. And in the quiet acts of kindness, the village itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for the moment when these two humble boys will step onto a stage and reveal the magic within them. The bright neon sign reading "Auditions Today" flickers above the entrance of the venue, casting sharp reflections across the glass doors. Inside, the lobby buzzes with energy, voices overlap, footsteps echo. Camera crews weave through clusters of anxious performers. Mothers adjust costumes, managers shout reminders, and talented singers rehearse scales with polished precision. The atmosphere feels like a storm of nerves, ambition, and glittering dreams colliding all at once. And then, quietly, the doors open again, and in walk our two boys from the little Filipino village. Their clothing is simple, just clean shirts, slightly faded jeans, and sneakers that have endured years of living, and in a room filled with sequins, tailored suits, and bold stage makeup, they are instantly overlooked. One boy carries a small backpack containing nothing but a bottle of water and a packet of biscuits. The other triple checks the audition number, pinned crookedly to his chest, as though his life depends on it. They weave through the ocean of people, their movements small and tense. No manager walks beside them. No vocal coach gives last-minute orders. Just two boys, carrying nothing but hope. They take a seat in the far corner. away from the bright lights and confident singers warming up with impressive vocal runs. One contestant laughs, shaking his head after glancing at the boys. "Kids," he mutters. "Cute." The boys hear it, but pretend they don't. Instead, they huddle closer, whispering encouragement to each other in soft Tagalog, unaware that a small camera crew notices their humility and begins filming quietly, sensing there might be a story here. Minutes passed, then an hour. Every time the stage doors open, a performer walks out trembling, bursting with pride, or collapsing into disappointment. The judges' reactions are unpredictable, but one thing is certain: no one gets on that stage without being fully seen. Finally, a loud voice echoes through the lobby. "Number 247, you're up." The boys jolt, hearts pounding. They stand, exchanging a quiet nod of courage because that's all they have. No pep talk, no coach, just each other as they walk toward the stage doors, their footsteps slow. The hallway leading backstage feels endless, lined with framed posters of past winners, dramatic lighting rigs, and stagehands racing through with headsets and clipboards. One boy breathes deeply, his chest rising and falling rapidly. The other squeezes his shoulder. "Kaya natin, too," he says softly. "We can do this." The stage manager lifts a headset and mutters. Two young boys going in next, with a tone suggesting uncertainty, maybe even doubt. The curtain parts, and suddenly, they are swallowed by a blinding wall of light. The stage is massive. The audience stretches upward, balconies filled, seats packed. The boys blink, momentarily stunned, and then their eyes land on the judges' table. The sight of Simon Cowell, arms crossed, eyebrow raised, lips pressed into a skeptical line, sends a chill through their bodies. The microphone stands in front of them like a gatekeeper. Simon leans forward slightly. "When you're ready," he says. In that unmistakably dry tone, the boys glance at each other, once more, fear in their eyes, but something stronger too. A spark. They came here to sing, to try, to dream. And now, with thousands watching and millions yet to see, they take a breath and prepare to begin. A quiet hush falls across the entire theater, the kind that only arrives before something unknown. The two boys stand shoulder to shoulder beneath the intense stage lights, hands trembling ever so slightly. For a moment, neither speaks. Even the judges wait, half curious, half skeptical. The kind of curiosity reserved for moments when expectations are low. Then the music track begins. At first, their voices are barely above a whisper, soft, cautious, like a fragile bird testing its wings for the very first time. A few audience members shift in their seats, unsure what to make of these two unassuming kids. Simon Cowell's eyebrow raises a fraction, not in admiration, but in that familiar, "is this going anywhere?" expression that millions have seen before. But 10 seconds in, everything changes. The boys reach the first chorus, and suddenly their voices lift higher, stronger, clearer. Their harmonies lock together with astonishing precision. The sound feels pure, angelic, yet powerful enough to pierce straight into the heart. Gasps ripple through the audience as people realize what they're witnessing. The camera zooms in on one of the boys. His eyes closed tightly, brows knit in emotion, voice trembling with a truth far bigger than his age. The other boy stands slightly behind him, harmonizing with perfect balance, supporting every note like a second heartbeat. Together, their voices bloom, rising like a tide that pulls the entire auditorium along with it. The judges shift forward in their seats. The female judge lifts a hand to her mouth, visibly stunned. Even Simon's skeptical expression falters, replaced by something far more rare, genuine surprise. Backstage, crew members stop what they're doing. A lighting operator forgets to blink. A sound tech mutters, "Where did that come from?" The camera crew that followed them earlier begins filming with renewed urgency, sensing they've just stumbled into a moment that might go viral for years. By the midpoint of the song, their voices are soaring, no longer timid, no longer shy. The fear melts away, replaced by emotion drawn from every memory of singing in their small village, beneath mango trees, beside sari-sari stores, While neighbors listened with warm smiles and quiet pride, the audience begins to lean forward, as if they don't want to miss a single breath. One woman is already wiping away tears. A father squeezes his daughter's hand, whispering, "Listen to them." Then comes the bridge. The quiet part, delicate and vulnerable. The music softens, and the boys sing in breathtaking unison, voices trembling with authenticity. It's not just skill, it's soul, it's heart, it's everything they've never been able to say aloud, finally finding shape in melody. Simon's expression shifts again, this time into awe. Not just because they can sing, but because they have a story in their voices, something raw and unpolished, yet undeniably real. And as they reach the final chorus, stronger, louder, their harmonies swelling with emotion, the crowd no longer sees two unknown Filipino boys in simple clothes. They see stars. They see heart. They see greatness emerging right before their eyes. The unexpected turn has arrived. The final notes of the boys' song hang in the air like a held breath, fragile, luminous, and stretching out across the auditorium with a weight that seems to press on every heart in the room. Their voices fade, not with weakness, but with a tenderness that feels like a gift. The entire hall goes still. For a full second, even the air does not dare to move. Then, the room erupts. The audience explodes into applause. Polite clapping, not casual cheering, but pure, roaring celebration. People leap to their feet. Some cheer so loudly their voices crack. Others simply stand in awe, hands on their chests, as if trying to steady their own racing hearts. A woman in the front row wipes tears from her cheeks, stunned by the beauty of what she just heard. A teenage boy in the balcony mouths the words, "Oh my God," to no one in particular. Backstage, the crew watches on the monitors, stunned. One of the stagehands, a hardened veteran who has seen hundreds of performances, lets out a long whistle. "Those kids just lit the place up," he says, shaking his head in disbelief. A sound technician raises both hands in victory, as if he personally coached them, shouting, "That's what I'm talking about." But all the boys see, in that moment, are each other, out of breath, trembling, hearts pounding loudly enough to drown out the cheers. They turn to face one another. Their eyes fill not with sadness, but with the overwhelming certainty that they gave everything they had. They don't need to speak. Their joined hands, their shaking smiles, and their teary eyes say it all. Then something even more surprising happens. Simon Cowell rises from his chair. The audience gasps because Simon does not rise easily. He claps slowly at first, his expression unreadable. Then the clapping grows stronger, faster, until it becomes clear. He is genuinely deeply impressed. The other judges join in instantly. One judge stands with her hand over her heart, fighting back tears. Another wipes his eyes openly, no longer trying to hide his emotions. The boys turn to face the judges' panel, unsure, overwhelmed, clutching each other's arms as if they might collapse under the weight of the moment. Simon gestures for the applause to settle and leans forward with a rare softness in his eyes. "I did not expect that," he says, his voice steady but glowing with admiration. "You walked out here looking like any two boys in any city, anywhere in the world. But when you sing, you tell a story. And that story just moved every single one of us." The audience roars again. The boys tremble, tears finally spilling down their cheeks, not just from the praise, but from what this moment represents. Every late-night rehearsal in their village, every sacrifice, every small act of kindness, every dream they kept quiet because they were afraid it might sound too big. Then, without warning, the judge closest to the golden buzzer glances at her fellow panelists with wide, excited eyes. The crowd senses it. A wave of anticipation sweeps through the room. People scream, cover their mouths, and lean forward as if drawn by gravity. With a single, decisive movement, her hand slams down onto the golden buzzer. A metallic click echoes through the hall and, then golden. Confetti blasts into the air, time slows. The boys look up as shimmering gold rains down from the rafters, catching the stage lights and turning the moment into pure magic. The confetti sticks to their hair, their cheeks, their clothes. They stand there crying, laughing, overwhelmed as the auditorium fills with music, cheering, and joy. They came here as unknown boys from a small Filipino village. Now, they stand on a stage covered in gold, embraced by strangers who have just become believers. The climax isn't just the confetti, it's the realization that kindness, humility, and courage just turned ordinary into extraordinary. When the confetti finally settles and the stage lights dim, the boys are gently guided backstage by a team of production assistants. Their cheeks are still streaked with tears, golden flecks of confetti clinging to their hair and eyelashes. They look stunned, fragile, and unbelievably alive, as if they can't quite tell whether they're dreaming. Backstage, familiar chaos rules. Camera operators rushing, judges heading to interviews, producers shouting times and cues. But as the boys step through the curtain, something unexpected happens. The chaos pauses. Crew members turn toward them, smiling, clapping, offering fist bumps and pats on the back. These are seasoned professionals, people who have seen thousands of auditions, but in this moment, even they can't hide the glow in their eyes. One crew member kneels down so he's eye level with them and says, "You made grown men cry out there. Don't ever forget that." The boys smile shyly, unsure how to respond. So they just bow their heads in gratitude, a gesture of humility that speaks louder than any words could. Their families are waiting just beyond the chaos, eyes already wet with tears. A mother rushes forward, pulling both boys into her arms, even though only one is her son, because in their village, family isn't determined by blood alone, but by shared history, kindness, and community. She whispers through sobs, "I always knew. I always knew." The other boy's father places a hand on their heads, whispering a prayer of thanks in Tagalog voice, trembling with pride. Later that evening, as the boys step out into the cool night air outside the venue, they are greeted by crowds of fans who saw the performance live. People hold out notebooks, programs, even napkins for autographs. Others simply reach out to touch their shoulders, thanking them for the emotion they shared so generously. But among the excited voices, one stands out. A young girl, no older than Ad, approaches shyly with her mother, holding a tiny notebook. "Can you sign this?" she asks softly. "Because when I grow up, I want to sing like you." The boys freeze, exchanging a glance of shock. One gently signs her notebook and says, "Don't just sing like you, sing like you. You'll make the world listen." The girl beams, and for a moment, the world feels unbearably beautiful. Meanwhile, back in their small Filipino village, neighbors gather around live streams and replay clips on their phones. Laughter, cheers, and tears fill the narrow streets. Children imitate the boys' harmonies. Elderly neighbors clap with pride. Even the shopkeeper who once gave them free snacks wipes his eyes, saying, "Mgayanak ng bare, ateng bare, children of our village." Made the world stop and listen. Days later, when the episode airs globally, messages start pouring in from across the USA, Europe, Asia, from people who don't speak the same language but felt the same emotion. Some say the boys reminded them of their own dreams. Others say the performance gave them hope after a hard week. A few admit they hadn't cried in years until that moment. And that's when the true impact reveals itself. Their story isn't just about talent. It's about humility, about courage, about kindness that shines through every note, about how greatness often hides in the most ordinary places. Waiting for a moment of faith, the boys remain grounded, returning home between rounds, helping neighbors as they always have, carrying groceries, comforting children, humming harmonies as they walk dusty roads. Fame has touched them, but it has not changed them, because the real victory wasn't the golden buzzer. It was watching ordinary kindness turn into extraordinary inspiration. It was proving to the world and to themselves that dreams don't belong only to the wealthy or the famous or the lucky. They belong to anyone with heart. And as their story closes, a single message remains: be kind, be brave, and never underestimate the quiet dreamers, because one day, they might make the whole world stand up and listen.